Hey you guys, it's your girl AP and welcome to my channel. Hey you guys, welcome back to my health talk. I've been doing health talk for a little while now. I think we're like 14 or 15 episodes in, and I really slowed down doing them, but I did say that I was going to keep up with my weight loss journey, so that is what I'm doing today. So before I get started, I want to be very clear here that I'm going to insert a trigger warning. If weight loss is a subject that triggers you because of ED or perhaps of fat phobia or whatever your personal beliefs are, that's totally understandable, but this conversation is going to move forward into the subject of intentional weight loss and surgery, so now would be the time for you to exit. All right, you guys, so a few months back I shared that I was on a weight loss journey. I decided to go low carb once I started realizing that I was in that pre-diabetic stage and I didn't want to be put on metformin. I was already in the process of considering weight loss surgery and intentional weight loss, so it was kind of the thing that kind of kicked everything into gear. And with that being said, I lost about 40 pounds throughout this process, and I finally met with my surgeon today for a consultation. So a little background, I had been pursuing weight loss surgery a few times. In fact, if you've been following me for a while, you know I've been through this process at least twice. Both times the issue was insurance, and also I wasn't ready. Weight loss surgery, a lot of people view it as like this quick magic fix to weight loss, but I had a better understanding of my own issues, eating habits, mental health, and I wanted to address those things before I took the step to do something really major and invasive for weight loss. Throughout this weight loss journey that I've been on, it's forced me to address, my emotional issues with eating, and I talked about that in my last video, and really just getting myself the help that I need so that my weight loss surgery can be a success. All of this will move me forward to having hip replacement on my left hip that has osteoarthritis, and hopefully will help me regain my mobility back. I know a lot of influencers or people who are in spaces of being bloggers are not necessarily comfortable discussing their weight loss or the weight loss surgery. Me, on the other hand, I'm an open book. It's not something I'm ashamed of. While I know it's nobody's business, I don't have a problem sharing it because I understand that there are plenty of other people who are in similar positions and just may not know how to proceed with things, or maybe they're trying to make a decision. So I'm hoping that my experience will help them with theirs. Back in the summer, I attended a seminar at Emory DeKalb Medical, which is where I'm having my surgery, which is a surgery center of excellence, which is required by my insurance, Anthem. And we went over in a seminar setting the types of weight loss surgery that were available. So there's the Loop DS, which is the Loop Dewey Dental Switch. There is the gastric bypass, which is known as Ruin NY. And then, of course, the sleeve gastrectomy, which is also known as VSG. When you are my size, typically they push for you to get the gastric bypass or the Loop DS because you get a much more drastic weight loss a lot quicker, because no matter what you do within that first year, your body is basically doing something called malabsorption, where you're really not getting any of the food that you eat. It's really a form of malnutrition if you ask me, and that's what caused the drastic weight loss. However, personally, I did not want the Loop DS or the gastric bypass. The complication rates with those surgeries are higher, and I decided very early on that I wanted to have the sleeve because it's less invasive in nature, and I didn't want to reroute my plumbing, which is essentially what those other surgeries do. They are like rearranging your intestines and doing exactly what it says, looping and other stuff, bypassing. So I knew going into this that VSG, you lose, typically the average person loses 60% of their excess weight. When I talked to my surgeon today and I explained to her that I wanted the VSG, I was prepared for this fight. Turns out she was so comfortable with my decision when I explained to her my reasons, which also included I have peritoneal adhesions in my abdomen from having 3 C-sections, which is extensive scar tissue, which can complicate a gastric bypass surgery. I also am not comfortable, like I said, with the rerouting of my intestinal tract and the malnutrition and the complication rates, also the side effects and the symptoms. When I discussed with my surgeon the steps that I'd already been taking to lose weight, she was very comfortable that I had a grasp on how I needed to eat, my exercise regimen, and also being very self-aware of the eating issues that I have and actively working on them. She told me that I could lose just as much weight with the VSG as I would with the gastric bypass as long as I was willing to do the work. She also explained to me that most patients who don't see as much success with the VSG typically aren't being real or honest with themselves about their eating habits beforehand. And with the VSG, because it's only literally vertically cutting off a section of the stomach and just making the stomach smaller, their appetite returns a little bit quicker than it would with the gastric bypass, and they aren't necessarily ready or prepared to have their appetite return as quick, which is why they lose weight at a slower rate. Explained to me that in order for this to be a success, I had to follow the outline that the doctor gave me, and I also had to be willing to make a lifestyle change, which I had already been doing prior to my even deciding to full on go ahead with surgery. It felt really good to talk to the surgeon and A, not have to fight about the treatment that I wanted, and B, being on the same page. It's been a very long time since I've had a doctor that I've legit been on the same page. And if you're a bigger body in the healthcare industry, you already know that oftentimes our concerns are overlooked or ignored for what they deem to be their bigger picture. So per my insurance, I have to do 6 months of supervised nutrition visits. So I am scheduled out starting December all the way through May. If everything goes well and I pass all my diagnostic testing, such as upper GI, I cleared for pulmonary already, and as long as I pass cardiovascular testing, EKG, and have a clearance from my PCP, I will be able to have surgery as soon as June. I am so surprised that things went as smoothly as they did today, and it's almost like all gears are go now. Like, I'm now officially starting my weight loss surgery journey, and I have to admit it does feel a little bit crazy. Taking on weight loss surgery is such a big commitment because the success of your surgery really depends on you, which is why it was so important for me to make the attempts to instill a different lifestyle for myself prior to proceeding with this, and also really addressing my emotional issues and depression and finding ways to be healthy about dealing with them. I noticed in the support groups that I was encouraged to join that a lot of women in these groups have issues with their eating habits because they didn't take the time to get to the core or the root cause of why they ate the way that they did prior to surgery. I didn't want to play myself. Like, that's essentially what it was. I didn't want to play myself. I've seen success and failures with weight loss surgery amidst close friends of mine, co-workers, and even people in these support groups. So it was really important for me to control my narrative as much as possible and my success story as much as possible by doing the most that I could prior to surgery. And the thing about it is I still have more time. I wouldn't be getting surgery until another 6-7 months from now. So I feel good about that. Like, I still have time to make improvements. I am required to reach a certain BMI before surgery just to put me at the healthiest and most optimal space to minimize the most complications as possible. So that is what the supervised nutritionist visits are for. So, you know, your girl's gonna go even harder with the weight loss than I was before because I'm serious about this. I know a lot of people within the plus community, it's such a diverse opinion about weight loss and doesn't mean fat phobia and all these other things, but like, I'm gonna tell y'all, like I tell everybody all the time, I believe in autonomy and doing what is best for your health. And what's best for my health is getting the weight loss surgery so that I can go ahead and get my hip replaced. Dealing with osteoarthritis is tough. I'm 34 years old. It's something that I shouldn't even be having to deal with. It's a congenital condition, but the excess weight is what's preventing me from being able to get my hip replaced. So this was like a no-brainer for me after that. It was like I had no other choice but to do what I needed to do to get to that hip replacement. I know that weight loss brings a lot of changes for people emotionally and physically and mentally. The thing that I always want to do is honor my body through this process. I never want to look at this body that I've existed in for however many years at this state and hate it or shame it or post a before picture and talk about how horrible this body was or how awful it is and how much better I look now, because I don't feel that way. I've never felt unbeautiful as a fat woman, and I've been smaller before. I've been on both sides of the spectrum, and I have to honestly say, I don't want to look back at my before and be like, ooh, she's disgusting, because I'm not. I'm amazing, and I'm awesome. So as I go through the process, I am going to share, probably after I do my first nutrition visit and my next weigh-in, and just maybe update in my stories, which is where I often go to do my little brief minis about what's going on with the foods I'm eating and things like that, to give you guys updates if you're interested in following the journey. So if you are in the process of going through your weight loss journey, whether surgery or you're considering it or any of those things, or you have experience that you want to share with me, my DMs are always open. Comment section is open. As always, please be respectful and gracious to people even when you don't agree. And I'll see you guys on the other side of this thing. See ya.